can start with Kirsten, third row on the left.
Max, when you guys look at just how you all won the NLDS, what did you learn just from the group, and what are you guys hoping to take into this matchup against the Mets?
Yeah, I think the clubhouse kind of found out a lot about each other. It was something that we knew kind of who we were the whole season, but you get into the fire like that in that kind of atmosphere, you really learn who you are as a team, and I think everyone really liked what they saw, and you just find out there's no quit, there's no give up, there's no letting down on anything, and that's what you need at this time of year.
Go to Fabian, third row in the middle.
I'm sure some of the guys in the bullpen probably would have wanted more time off, but for you guys, position players, is it a good thing maybe to only have one day off to sort of just keep that momentum from the last end of that series?
It's always a tough question, as there's such a thing as momentum in baseball. I don't have the answer to that. Obviously, our bullpen would like several weeks off before their next game. They've been asked to do a whole lot this year, but they haven't backed down from any of the challenges. They've responded well. They've gone out there and done their job without question, without complaining, and they're kind of the guys that are sparking us right now. They're showing the fire for us, and we all want to get behind them. We all want to give them the lead, let them go out there and do what they want to do, and we were able to do that in the DS, and it was really fun to watch.
And whether it's watching from afar or some of the scouting reports you guys got yesterday, how different of a team is this Mets team than the team you last saw in May?
Well, it's the biggest thing is it's just a team that we haven't seen a whole lot of. You talk about going from a team you've played in division, a lot of times over the years to a team that you see once or twice a year. It's just it's a group of guys that you just haven't seen a whole lot of, and so it's a little bit different to game plan for that. Whereas when we play the Padres, you already have a very good idea of what your game plan is going to be going into it. Whereas you're playing a team like the Mets, you almost have to start from scratch. So it's really just the familiarity that it's so much different than what we've had.
We'll go about 5 rows back in the middle.
Hey, Max, Francisco Villalobos here from Grupo Formula. The Dodgers have been here in this, have been incredibly successful in the postseason, only one World Series. And I say only one, not because it's easy to win World Series. It's difficult to win World Series. However, the people of Los Angeles expect the Los Angeles Dodgers to be champions every year. What do the Dodgers need to do in order to get to the next step, to get to the World Series and hopefully win it?
I think the first thing is we got to keep our fire and our intensity from the last series. That is something that I've seen in the past where we've won a big series and then you move on to the next one and you almost kind of let your guard down a little bit. And so the biggest thing for us immediately is we got to keep our fire and intensity. We got to keep the same focus that we had. And we got to go out there and game plan and execute just as good as we did in the previous series. And, when you do that, I don't know how many times I've said this year, but you're playing yourself, not the other team. You go out there and you execute the things that you can control. And, that's just how you prepare for the game, how you want to execute your game plan. Stuff's going to happen. It's baseball. They're going to have their game plan, and they're going to try to deviate you from what you want to do. But as long as you can keep doing what you want to do and, preparing the proper way and going out there with all the right tools, then we trust in ourselves to move on.
Going to carry second row on the left.
Max, you didn't get to participate in the 21 playoffs, but it's kind of similar with the DS, where you're facing division rival, tense series, emotionally and physically exhausted going into the next series. Do you see anything different from this team than maybe that team?
Well, that was definitely what I was just referring to, where I've talked about in the past. You've had the big series, and I obviously wasn't participating in that one, but I was there in the dugout watching, and that was something that I saw. That was, you beat the division rival. You're really, really high up, and you almost let your guard down, and then it gets taken out from underneath your feet. And so that's something that we're going to reiterate today. And this whole series, we got to make sure we just maintain our intensity, maintain our focus. And, I think that goes back to the group that we have in this clubhouse, and the fire that we have, and just the chemistry that we've had. It's almost immediately everyone was saying the same message, that we got to make sure we stay just as fired up and just as focused and just as prepared for this series.
Let's go to Mike, third row.
Hey, Max, what is your comfort level at first base right now, and did it come back pretty quick for you?
Yeah, it was. It's pretty natural over there. I still haven't had that ball up the line, and I'm not gonna say that won't be in my head if there is one up the line, but it's a position that I played my whole career. I'm very comfortable over there. It's going over there when we had our 5 days off in our sim games, it just kind of felt extremely natural, felt easy, and I didn't really even have to think about anything. I just let it happen, and so that's what I did the couple games I got over there in the DS. So it's not an unnatural thing for me.
Jack on the left side.
Obviously, like the last couple of years, there's so much talk about the offensive approach and game planning in the postseason. Like, do you feel like you guys did anything better in that department in the DS, or is that something where it's just, you got more hits to drop in at key times when you look back at that series?
I mean, isn't that just baseball? If you win, you get more hits to drop in. We've always game planned extremely well. I just think the difference with this year is you just have a different group of guys executing it. It's hard to really answer why it hasn't worked in the years past. It could be any number of things, but it's each year is a different group. From 20 to 21 to 22 to 23, it's a different group every year, different group of guys. I know there's a lot of the same faces, but you have a different attitude in the clubhouse every single year, and the one we have this year, we're really enjoying it.
Go back to Kirsten.
Max, just quickly, with talking about game planning, when you look at just this matchup today, going against the starter, there's not too much information this year, just kind of due to injury. Obviously, you had the start in the DS, but how are you guys kind of just approaching it from the hitter standpoint? Are you looking at this as, potentially you could be seeing the bullpen a little bit earlier in the game, or how do you kind of just manage that with some unknown?
A saying we've always kind of had when you're approaching a guy that may not give a ton of innings, or maybe it's an opener or any number of things, is he's going to go as long as we let him go. If we put together a bunch of really poor at-bats, they're probably going to keep running him out there. If we put together a bunch of really good at-bats, score some runs, get a lot of traffic on the bases, we're probably not going to see him too many times. So it's just one of those things where he's going to go as long as we let him go. And, we're obviously preparing for him like he's a built-up starter. Whether that's the case or not, you have to prepare for him that way, and you were also preparing for everyone else just the same as we always would.
Any last ones for Max? All right, Max, thanks for coming in. Appreciate the time. Good luck this series.